Hey everybody, we are having hints of spring here in the northwest suburbs of Chicago. So hope wherever you're at that you're getting a little taste of that as well. Here's a little secret. For any of us who have tried to read the Bible the whole way through or been around other people who have tried to read it, I think Leviticus gets a really bad rap. Everyone's like, "Oh, wait till Leviticus." You know, it's a killer. That's where everybody abandons it. That might be true. True story. Numbers has always been my Achilles heel. I'm not a math guy in particular, so if you can imagine what a bunch of census data is for me, it's not good. So for me, I am really happy to get out of Numbers into Deuteronomy, which is the last book of the Pentateuch, the Torah, the instruction, and also one of my favorite books of the Old Testament. And I won't go too deep into it, but just a couple things, and I'll put a little snapshot in the Dropbox folder. But Deuteronomy, the background of it is kind of bittersweet because the setting is Moses standing on the border of the Promised Land, and he's talking to the nation. And so essentially what Deuteronomy is either a sermon or a collection of sermons, if you will. But the reason that he is speaking this on the border of the Promised Land is because he's not going to cross over with them. In the book of Numbers, there's this incident where he hits the rock, and then God says, "Hey, because of that surprise, you're not crossing over." And I was in a band a long time ago named Maida Vale, and I actually wrote a song called Jordan, which is not really a story about this, but it's just kind of me putting myself in Moses' shoes, because I mean, he's led these people not just, from the escape and then 40 years in the wilderness, but if you think about even going back, I mean, his life has just been crazy. And at the height of like the thing that he was living his life for, he's not going to get to go in. And to me, that is just mind-blowing. So essentially, this is almost like Gandalf at the edge of the forest of Mirkwood, if you've ever read The Hobbit. And he's giving instructions because he's not going with the nation, and he's got to say goodbye. And so Deuteronomy, which the Greek word basically means the second law or the second covenant. So this is basically a restating of all the stuff from Exodus and even Leviticus of, hey, listen, you're about to go into this place. This is how you're supposed to behave. So these are final instructions. It's sort of a last renewal of the covenant that he received, or the nation received from God at Sinai. It's also a preparation for battle, because God's told him, hey, listen, I'm not going to take all the people out in the Promised Land all at once. You're going to have to kind of deal with them for a while. Deal with them, meaning fight them. So it's a covenant renewal. It's Moses saying goodbye. I saw one scholar also put, I'll say it this way, that it's also a vision of the ideal Israel. That this is like the best of all behaviors. And once they get into the land, you're going to see that actually behavior goes down really fast. And the last thing I will say is, in terms of how it connects to some other parts of the Bible, is one, in 2 Kings chapter 22, there's a king named Josiah who's a good king. And there's a story where he finds the law, which don't even get me started on, okay, you lost the law, but he finds the law. And based on the way they refer to what he finds, the thought is that this is actually what he finds. He finds the book of Deuteronomy. Based on the references and what he refers to when he finds it. So it's pretty cool just to see that connection. The second thing is all the way connecting into the New Testament. You know, Jesus comes and some people believe him, celebrate him as the Messiah. Other people are skeptical. A lot of that skepticism and the confusion about his identity finds its basis in Deuteronomy. A couple places. In chapter 18, the text says that God is going to raise up another prophet like Moses. And Moses is seen as a prophet by the Jewish people. And then in chapter 34, similar kind of statement, there's never been a prophet like Moses. Okay? So Moses has this central, special place in the Jewish people. He is the people that led them out of slavery into bondage, which is a good thing to keep in mind about Jesus. And then the text says that one day God will raise up another prophet like Moses. And so this is part of the hunger and hope for the Jewish people. When will God raise up another prophet like Moses? Which kind of sets up a lot of stuff, don't want to get into it right now, of John the Baptist and Jesus and baptizing people in the Jordan and, you know, what is the promised land and what is freedom. Anyway, Deuteronomy is a really awesome book to me. It's got one of the, also has one of the funniest sayings, scripture passages about partying in it. Not that I'm a proponent of partying, but it's just funny when I think about how many people have, you know, like, don't drink alcohol and don't do this and don't do that. And yet there's a passage in here that God's like, hey, partying is not so bad if you're celebrating the right things. Anyway, yeah. So for the next few weeks, we're going to knock off some books in a hurry. So if you've been bored, been out for a while, you can check back in, jump back in for some Deuteronomy. Then we got Joshua, Judges, Ruth, and things are going to get pretty intense. Chronicles, Kings, woo! It's going to be crazy. Anyway, enjoy it.